And then Gabby, whenever you're ready, or whoever's introducing the episode, go ahead whenever.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Note to Self. My name is Gabby. I am currently a mental health navigator at Ohlone College, and I will be your co-host today. Today with me, there's two other navigators.
Hi, my name is Randy Cross, and I am a navigator and ambassador over at Laney College, and I am a journalism major.
Hi, my name is Shanza, and I'm a navigator at Ohlone.
Thank you all for being here today. So before we hop into the topic, which we might have given you a sneak peek before the end of last episode, but our check-in today would be diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I want to have maybe just or at least hear from you all. If you don't mind telling me of a time that you felt like you belonged on your campus.
This definitely involves the Wellness Center where we had some people come in and they were feeling a little bit left out in the in the drama department. And the reason they felt left out is because they were a person of color and the other students were not. And so they kind of said, well, I know where I can go to feel included. And that was the Wellness Center because we're a very diverse group there and they just felt comfortable coming and talking to us. And I was happy I was there to be some support for that person.
Has a very welcoming space where students can come into the mental health center and just, want to talk to someone. There's always a very welcome, face and person that you can go into and ask for support. So that's a very sweet. Thank you. How about you, Shana?
For me, when I go on campus, a lot of the times, I feel very like welcome on campus and feel that I belong when I'm with my religious community because there's such a great religious community at Ohlone. So then when I go there, I always feel welcome and going to the events, I always feel very included in that way.
Before then, I never really felt like I belonged in a college campus. I did take one or two or three college classes here and there on multiple campuses earlier on after high school, but I honestly felt like it was not for me. Um, but I remember the first time that it would be like the first counseling appointment I had at Chabot. The counselor was very welcoming and he was so supportive. He answered all my questions and continued to like reassure me and tell me that everything was going to be okay and that he was there to support me with all my questions. So yeah, I felt like I finally belonged, right? Because straight out of high school, I was not like a traditional American college student, so it didn't feel right for me to go to college. And the college counselor actually at that time reassured me, like, yeah, college is too expensive, probably not for you. So just having a different type of, like situation and a different person being more welcoming kind of felt good. And I think that's the first time I felt included in campus. But yeah, so when we're thinking of equity, diversity, and inclusion, just to kind of give you a well-rounded understanding of what that means, I'm gonna pass it over to Shanza. Shanza, do you mind giving us like a proper definition for everyone out there?
Yes, of course. I'm so glad that you asked. According to the American Physics, sorry, can we sorry, can you cut that out? Okay, let me try that again. Yeah, thank you. So according to the American Psychological Association, equity, diversity, and inclusion is a conceptual framework that promotes the fair treatment and full participation of all people, especially populations that have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination because of their background, identity, and disability.
Students, to feel welcomed or to continue to thrive in college environment. I'm not sure if you all have heard, Randy or Shanza, about the Vision 2030 roadmap.
I'm actually not familiar with that.
No, neither am I.
So technically, the roadmap for California Community College is a vision called 2030 and outlines a collaborative action plan actually that aims to provide focus, equity, and direction. It guides field practice, eliminates barriers, advocates for policy reform, and aids in college implementation. Additionally, it addresses technological and environmental challenges while prioritizing holistic needs of college students. It honestly sounds very promising, and I think when they started back in 2020, thinking of not specifically relation to the pandemic, but I would say, it started with a thought in mind that students, needed the same access to resources on campus equally. And I'm going to hand it over to Randy so she can tell us a little bit more about the three main goals of this 2030 roadmap.
Yeah, the first goal of the 2030 roadmap is the equity in success. This ensures all Californians achieve academic and career success through community college education. This includes increasing completion rates, facilitating baccalaureate. I can't say it. What is it? How do I pronounce that word, Gabby?
I was trying to follow.
Oh,
Baccalaureate?
Baccalaureate? Okay, I'll read it over from the beginning. The first goal is equity in success. This ensures all Californians achieve academic and career success through community college education. This includes increasing completion rates, facilitating baccalaureate degree attainment, and ensuring students earn a living wage. The second goal is equity in access. Expand access to higher education opportunities by encouraging enrollment in community college, particularly among underserved populations. The third one is equity and support. Collaborate with various organizations to provide students with the necessary academic, financial, and social support to thrive in their educational journey. This involves maximizing financial aid and reducing the number of units required for degree completion.
Like I said earlier, I think it sounds very promising. A lot of the times when we think of, going to college, it seems more like a burden and like well, for me personally, maybe I shouldn't speak for others, but sometimes it seems like a burden or like an obstacle thing because, I thought college had money signs on it. I thought it was like way over my budget and like, not accessible. And also including like the resources like the books, the housing, understanding that not all students come from rounded families, including like that, social emotional support or just in general, like, they come from different populations around the country. Not necessarily, even community colleges, sometimes they don't come from your surrounding community necessarily. Sometimes they try to find classes that fit their schedule and they can attend multiple campuses at the same time. So even thinking about that, just happening to let's scratch that. Yeah, so keeping that in mind and hopping into some more information, about 2.2 million students attend the 115 California community college system. And nearly 29% of these are UC graduates, or 51% of them are CSU graduates, being their education journey at a community college. And so if you're looking at the whole population that attends, CSUs and UCs, 51% of that's half of the students come from a community college. And they all come from diverse backgrounds and, they decided to attend community college first. So thinking of that, how do you think California community colleges can ensure equitable access to educational opportunities for all students, and particularly for those underrepresented or marginalized communities? I'll start with you, Shanza.
Yeah, so the one great thing about community college is that it's a form of education for those who do not come from the most economical backgrounds, or even for people who do, it's still a way to save money because the reality is that UCs and CSUs are so expensive. Like we're talking about maybe 30K a year even, or for some schools it could even be like 50K a year, and a lot of people don't have that kind of money. So it's such an economical decision to go for community college first. And there's so many opportunities that are present at community college. The way that community college can ensure that there are educational opportunities for all students is through programs that are already existing, such as financial aid, EOPS, FAFSA. Just adding more financial aid is a very essential. And then also addressing the needs of those who are underrepresented, so that way those underrepresented or marginalized communities are able to gain the same access to opportunities. So this can be through spaces that allow them to be able to meet with those who are in those similar backgrounds, or just through educational opportunities more geared towards their needs. Then this way we're able to get that type of equity, so that in the long run we can have equality for all of those marginalized communities as well.
As for, or even think about a master's or therapist or anything like that. I think as I started continuing to attend classes and participating in, other engagements on campus and with organizations like Active Minds, or, being part of Psych, I kind of just wanted to do more. And I started feeling like I found my space to just start advocating for myself, right? I am from the Mexican culture, and growing up, was always like go to school and get an education, but I didn't know, I had no clue what the heck that looked like. Um, and again, being an immigrant, it was like, yeah, go get an education, but it's so expensive. Like, how am I going to do that? So thinking of, how this can be helpful for students from underrepresented or marginalized communities, I think
Yeah, and I
it
just
is
want
important. Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
sorry, I was just going to add on to we had, very similar experiences, except my goal was it was a personal goal, and I did go into community college specifically to only be there for 2 years and to transfer to a four-year university, knock those years out at the 4 year, and then, get a bachelor's in journalism. However, once I got on the campus at Laney, and I saw, the activities that they did offer, because like I never knew there was like a student union at a community college or clubs or groups. So once I got more into what was going on campus, and there were way more students my age than I ever expected to, run into. So I became involved with a lot of things on campus, which made my experience, I feel like, much more enjoyable and more, rich with community, feeling a sense of community. And I'm going to we'll be wrapping up my second year shortly. So hopefully I will transfer to a 4 year and just continue to be part of a community there.
Yeah, both of your examples show like why community college is so great, because it is a way for anyone to be able to get an education. A lot of people that I've run into community college are maybe older, or they come from different backgrounds than me, and it's different for me because when I went into community college, I had that mindset that most people would just be there for 2 years and transfer, because growing up, community college was, in my community at least, was kind of looked down upon. So then it was kind of like, okay, just do your 2 years and go. But I've noticed that a lot of people do stay longer, and that it's sometimes, and it's a very good opportunity for them, or it might be because they need to fulfill more credits or they have family situations. So it's good that people have that option, or people are able to even be able to do their education later, because it's really never too late to get that degree and to be able to apply it. Like I've heard stories of even people being 70 or something getting their degrees, and I think that it's very inspiring and definitely something to keep in mind, that community college is an option for anybody, and it's essentially very helpful to underrepresented communities as well, as I mentioned earlier, because it kind of bridges that gap so that they're able to even afford this type of education and have the same opportunity as those who are more well off and are able to afford that 4-year education first off.
However, as I got older, I realized I can use community college as a stepping stone to get to a 4-year. And, there's ways I can get the money as far as like scholarships or grants or loans and that sort of thing to pay for it.
Yeah, for me personally, like with what you brought up, Gabby, I guess that is kind of what I felt to some extent. Like I applied in high school and then I did get into a few schools, but then it just seemed like a better decision for me to go to community college, and I was pretty happy with that decision. Like, okay, more time with my family, and a lot of my friends were staying too. But then I do remember there were some times where I'd have like intense like FOMO, because I would see like my friends at colleges and it looked like they were having a fun time, and I feel very like left out or even like rejected. But then I think later on I realized that like, okay, this was the best decision for me and I'm still having my own kind of fun. So I don't feel it as much anymore, and I'm happy about that. And now that I am preparing to transfer, I am looking forward to like the college experience, but even if it's not in, but like in my own way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. I think I agree with that, but I think thinking about, feeling represented on your campus, about feeling that sense of belonging and like, I belong in this campus, I belong in college. What do you think universities can do for students to kind of make them feel more welcomed, or to make them feel more, like give them that sense of belonging? Do you think having faculty or staff, especially professors, once you get into like a UC or a CSU, like, do you think that matters to you?
I always thought that I always feel that clubs would be a good way for people to be able to meet with people who have like interests and be able to find that community. But I also see how staff can help with that, because sometimes when you have a really good connection with a teacher or professor, especially when you're younger and you're away from home, it can make you feel like you almost kind of still have that parental figure and that you're being supported. And also because these are your professors and faculty that are helping you in your academic journey, it's going to be better to have a good relationship with them as well, so that you're able to reach your academic goals and even professional goals if maybe a professor helps you do research or lands you an internship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that, like I said, I never knew that there were clubs on campus at community colleges. So I think clubs are a good way to feel more welcomed, and you can find a club within your community, and that'll really help you to have a sense of belonging and make friends on campus.
Yeah, as far as thinking of like feeling included, you know, um, what type of environment do you feel is important for students other than, the student body, the faculty, the staff? Like, what environment do you think a student needs to thrive and to feel welcomed?
A welcoming environment, a safe environment.
Yeah. I know for me at Aloni, well, like I mentioned, I graduated from Chabot. I transferred to Cal State East Bay. Um, I actually chose the second time around, I've tried to find some affinity programs or groups that I could belong to, right? Because sometimes it's easier to connect to a place where you find people that look like you. Um, Not necessarily that I don't like connecting with all people, but I feel like when it came to this education, because, or like the institution, I felt very insecure. And imposter syndrome is real.
Definitely.
So I think for for me, the environment was like, I want to hear people talk about, Dia de Muertos, or have like a festival for Cinco de Mayo, or doing some events that kind of connected to me as a person, to kind of make it feel more like a part of it, a part of me, like normalizing it for me in my head was important, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Like making it feel normal is, I think though for me the wellness center helped a lot with that, and being a part of like the Navigator program and meeting everyone there, because I honestly probably would have never, if I didn't wasn't in the program, I probably would have never known it was there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think also going back to what Shansa mentioned earlier, you know, finding like-minded people can always give you a sense of security and feeling safe. Um, is something that, as humans we try to find, and we strive to feel safe, right? So that's also um important. And thinking academically, like we can find programs that kind of enhance our career, enhance our learning process into the careers we plan to go into, like the Navigator program or like the wellness centers. Um, it's amazing, like student engagement. It brings people like that are like-minded and that are trying to work towards the same goals. Being an immigrant in this country and having gone through the undocumented um uh basically lifestyle for my family and I growing up, was like, thinking again of career opportunity, um, not having to do the hard jobs, in order for us to actually feel valid, or like, doing the extra hard works in jobs around to feel like we could provide for our families. Just recently, there was a bill passed, that is called Opportunity for All. And this actually is a bill that was intentionally, planned to offer jobs for students on campuses, CSUs and UCs that are undocumented, which honestly, when I saw this, I cried. I know this is a bill that like I had been watching closely, because although I already graduated with my bachelor's, I still work at Aloni and I still have a student position. And there's a lot of things behind there, but at the same time, thinking of the equity and inclusion, a lot of students that are on campus, I don't know the numbers, but they are considered DACAs, right? So they have deferred action in the sense that they can't be deported. They have some sort of legal status, but it's not a pathway to citizenship. It does include a work permit. So for those students, like, yeah, they have a work permit, but for all the other students that are not DACA identifying, they actually are attending college and they're paying out of pocket, because a lot of the financial aid, restrictions that they don't have access to. So when I'm thinking about that, like, how do you all feel? Like, I mean, I like I said, it's dear to my heart, and it's something that I really think would actually bridge a huge gap for undocumented students in order
Mhm.
for them to like have those opportunities on campus like we do, right? As navigators, ambassadors, or students that want to work in their health center at CSUs or UCs, but they can't legally get employed as students. Um, that those opportunities are still not there. But although this bill passed, hopefully, it goes into effect. But how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but it's great to hear. Our wellness center is like literally right across the hall from the undocumented center. And
Hmm.
so we work with them a lot, and borrow stuff back and forth. And they have such a good sense of community. Like they're always over there hanging out, watching movies, getting snacks and foods. They do something for every holiday on campus, and it's just really good to
Mhm.
see. So I'm glad that bill passed.
I mean, of course, it's like an amazing thing that this bill passed because having equal opportunity is very important. When um, students, such as undocumented students in this case, are being denied these opportunities, it becomes difficult
Mhm.
for them to have the same success as anyone else. And then that's how these communities are kind of kept down and are not able to reach the same level that other people are able to reach. So it's very essential that they're having access to the same opportunities, and that if this is enacted at community colleges or colleges as well, people will be able to get those opportunities from a time when it is critical, when at a time when they're building their academic career and building the baseline for the professional career. And I know Aloni does have multiple resources for undocumented students already. So also having the ability to work legally would also be a huge stepping stone, hopefully, for
Yeah.
people in this case.
Yes, definitely. And I know, more recently than not, I'll be honest, I think for such a long time, because I didn't feel included in the sense that, I'm like, I have access to voting or, allowance basically to vote or have a say in, governmental voting things. But more recently, I've been attending more, not rallies, because I don't like doing that, but at the same time, I'm like, how can I advocate? So I had to switch my mindset around how I can advocate without feeling like I'm not part of, you know, the group. And what I started thinking was, although I'm not part of this specific group or this specific thing, if I don't have a voice and if I don't advocate for what I do believe in, then I am part of the problem, right? So trying to not being pick your, but just being more mindful of how I can impact certain things. And going to Washington, going to Sacramento and just talking to congressmen about certain bills, and that I know, although don't directly impact me, I know they can impact my children and then their future children. So changing my mindset around that and it's like, advocate for what you know is right on your campus, talking to professors and sticking up for what you know is correct for others as well, to faculty, to staff. You have that voice. That's just my little spiel because I know I found a little bit more fire and a little bit less fear falls off every time I think that way because I know that although I don't have certain access to things, I have had opportunity. And if I have the platform and the opportunity, I will speak out and I will, make sure that people know that it is important. So I highly encourage it. Never feel like you don't belong. And if you don't feel like you belong, find your place, find your people, find your tribe. Um, and I really appreciate you all for joining me today. And in closing, it's clear that equity, diversity, and inclusion are not just like buzzwords. They are fundamental principles that shape the foundation of California community colleges, CSUs, and UCs. But by striving for fairness, embracing differences, fostering a sense of belonging, and these institutions can serve as beacons of opportunity for all Californians. And as we continue to navigate the ever evolving landscape of education, let's remain committed to building a future where every student feels valued, supported, and empowered to achieve their dreams. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And until next time, let's keep the mission going.